All right, let's get right into it. Today we're talking about one of the biggest headaches in web dev, performance. Specifically, how we can build apps that feel blazing fast by, you guessed it, shrinking our JavaScript. This is the modern playbook. Let's do this.
You know the feeling, right? You click on a site and you wait. Maybe the page shows up, but you can't click anything. Things are jumping all over the place. It's just frustrating. We have all these amazing tools. Our phones are basically supercomputers, so why do so many modern websites feel so sluggish?
Well, the culprit is usually hiding in plain sight. It's just too much JavaScript. We're shipping these massive bundles of code to the browser. And think about it. Every single byte has to be downloaded, then processed, then run. All that work, it just grinds the user experience to a halt, especially if you're not on the latest and greatest device with a perfect connection.
So that leads us to our core mission, our mantra for this whole thing. It's really simple. Ship less JavaScript, execute less JavaScript, and hydrate less JavaScript. If we can nail those three things, our apps will just feel faster. It's all about taking the burden off the user's device.
Okay, so what if I told you that it's possible to cut your JavaScript payload by 70 to 90%? I know, that sounds completely insane, right? Almost too good to be true. But with the right modern approach, it's totally achievable. So how on earth do we do it?
The single biggest piece of the puzzle, the real game changer here, is what I'm calling the RSC revolution. We're talking about React Server Components. And listen, this isn't just some small tweak or a minor optimization. This is a fundamental shift in how we think about and build user interfaces.
Okay, so here's the core difference. Think of it this way. Server components do all their work on the server and then send plain HTML to the browser. Poof, done, zero JavaScript. Client components, on the other hand, are the ones we're used to. They're the ones that ship JavaScript to the browser to handle things like button clicks and state changes. The magic word here is hydration. Server components don't need it. They never have to wake up in the browser because, well, their code never even made the trip.
And this Zero.js advantage is massive. Because there's no JavaScript from these components in the bundle, they can't clog up the browser's main thread. What does that mean for your user? It means a much faster time to interactive. Basically, the moment they see the page, they can actually use it. They can click, they can scroll, no more waiting for a mountain of JavaScript to download and run first.
So this all boils down to one golden rule, and it's super simple. If a component doesn't need to be interactive, if it doesn't have state or click handlers or effects, it should be a server component. Period. That's the new default. Make everything a server component unless you have a really good reason not to.
All right, RSCs are the heavy hitters, but they're not the only tool we have. Our next strategy is all about what I like to call a dependency diet. You know, every time we install something, it comes with a cost. It's time to get a little stricter about what we let into our app.
Let's be real. We all have our favorite libraries. Things like Lodash, Moment.js, Chart.js. They're super convenient, but they can be real heavyweights. It's so easy to pull in one of these libraries for just one or two little functions and accidentally add hundreds of kilobytes of bloat to your app without even realizing it.
But here's the good news. The web platform itself has gotten so much better. A lot of times, we don't even need these big libraries anymore. The browser has powerful native APIs built right in. So instead of grabbing a heavy date library like Moment.js, you can probably just use the built-in Intel object. Instead of Axios for fetching data, the native fetch API is right there, ready to use, and it costs you 0 extra kilobytes.
And it's not just what you import, but how you import it. This is so important. Look at that first example. That's the lazy way. It pulls in the entire library, the whole shebang, even if you only need one tiny function. But the second import is much smarter. It's specific. This lets your bundler do something called tree shaking, where it can literally look at your code, see you only used one function, and just shake off all the dead weight. It's like a surgical strike for your bundle size. Okay, strategy number 3. This one is all about being smart with timing. Think about it. Why should a user have to download the code for every single feature of your app the second they land on the homepage? It makes no sense. Instead, we can load code just in time, right when it's actually needed.
And you might think this is complicated, but check this out. It can literally be this one line of code. Using a dynamic import like this tells your framework, hey, see this chart component? Don't bundle it with everything else. Put it in its own little file. And that file just won't be downloaded on the initial page load. It's an absolutely massive win for that first impression.
So let's walk through what the user actually experiences. Step 1. The page loads super fast. Why? Because that heavy chart code is nowhere to be found. Step 2. The user does something. Maybe they click a View Report button. Step 3. Then and only then does the browser go and grab the code for that chart component. See? The
The user gets that snappy first load, and they get the feature they want precisely when they ask for it. It's the best of both worlds.
So what's a good candidate for this? Well, pretty much anything that isn't immediately visible or essential. We're talking big, complex charts, interactive maps, those pop-up modals that show up later. Or think about features that only some users see, like a whole admin-only section. Why make every single user download the admin code? It's a no-brainer to load that stuff on demand.
Okay, so we've done all this great work. We're using server components, we've put our dependencies on a diet, we're loading things just in time. But how do we keep things from getting bloated again over time? Well, the final piece is the checkup. We need to constantly analyze and monitor what we're shipping.
And for that, you have a superpower. This one little command right here. Running your build with an analyze flag gives you a visual map of your JavaScript bundles. It's like an X-ray of your application. You can see exactly what's inside every file and, crucially, how much space it's taking up. Seriously, this isn't optional. It's an absolutely essential tool.
So when you open up that report, what are you looking for? Here are the big red flags. First, any giant chunks of code. That's an immediate warning. Second, are you seeing the same library duplicated in multiple places? That's a waste. And here's the really critical one for the modern stack. Are you seeing a component in the client bundle that you thought was a server component? If you do, that's your alarm bell. It means it somehow got turned into a client component, and you got to figure out why.
When you put all of this together, it's not just a list of tricks. It's a whole new philosophy. It's the JavaScript reduction mindset. What does that mean? It means you default to server components for everything. It means you treat interactivity on the client as an opt-in, something you add sparingly, not the default. And it means you are always vigilant about what you're shipping to your users.
In this chart, this is what a healthy, modern app should look like. The vast majority of it, like 80%, should be server components. That's your fastic, static foundation. And then, sprinkled on top, you have these little pockets of client-side code, your client components. People call these islands of interactivity in a sea of server-rendered content. That's the beautiful architecture we should all be aiming for.
So, that's the playbook. The big takeaway here is that performance today isn't about tiny little micro-optimizations. It's about getting the architecture right from the start. If we embrace this mindset, we can build things that feel truly instant. So I'll leave you with a challenge. Go look at an app you're working on right now. What's one component, just one, that you could convert to a server component today and start shipping less JavaScript? Think about it. Thanks for tuning in.